Hello and welcome to today's live AM language lesson with me, Richie. Um, okay, so you guys should be able to see this on YouTube. The video is there. I'm just going to share it, so hopefully it will be easier for people to find. And I'm quite pleased with the thumbnail as well. Irina F, good afternoon. Hello. Welcome to today's lesson. Privyet. Roberto, good afternoon. Welcome to today's lesson and thank you for joining. I hope you're all doing very well. So yesterday we had a good lesson looking at can and will on the subject of people and places. Today it's health and medicine, and we're going to look at the modal verbs could and would. Now, I don't know about your language necessarily. I don't know how the rules work when it comes to using your versions of could and would. So the rules might be different to how you use it in your own language. It's always a danger of trying to translate everything back into your language directly because it doesn't always work. When it comes to a Latin-based language, there tends to be a lot in common, which is why a good amount of English isn't too difficult to understand when you're coming from a Latin speaking language. But then the problem is you have a lot of false friends, and things don't quite translate properly. Russian, I know that in Russian there are a lot of differences compared to English. So I understand that certain things can be confusing. And when it comes to this, where we look at something like modal verbs, I am aware that it can be quite difficult sometimes to really understand what we mean when we use words like could and would, especially when it comes to the tenses as well. Alida, how lovely to see you. Welcome to today's lesson. Buenos dias from where you are in the world. It's funny, the fact that you come from Patagonia, or you live in Patagonia, I was just saying, I was talking to a cousin of mine the other night. One of the places that we are currently trying to, whenever it is possible to travel again, we were talking about Patagonia as a place. I went to South America last year and I absolutely loved it. And Patagonia is high on my travel list. I really want to go down there, see the glaciers and all the rest of it. And I am aware that you can get, there is the possibility to also visit Antarctica as well. But it certainly is a place that's high on my list to visit. I've been to Argentina once, and it's such a vast country, which is vast is another word for big, that I look forward to returning again. Speaking of other places, Italy is always a place high on. Italy's always been a place I love going back to. I think my stomach nationality is Italian. Absolutely love Italian food and Italian wine. Irina, you're from Russia. Well, I can say when it comes to Russia, one place that has always been on my list to visit is St. Petersburg. That's been on my travel list for quite some time, but it's such a huge country that Russia is one of those places whereby there are a lot of places you could go to. So it's a hard one to decide where to end up going after the main, the main areas. Evelina, good afternoon. Welcome to today's lesson. So lovely to see you here. And buono pomeriggio as well. So guys, as always, please make sure if you're watching now or later, follow the lesson in the live chat section. That's where the action happens. If you're new, Make sure you subscribe and always like the video as well. So we are now on to could and would under, well, talking about health and medicine. So we'll construct our sentences and our ideas around it, but let's start off with could. Okay, we'll start off with trying to tackle could effectively. So let's start off with A. What's happening here? Okay, so we've got this vaccine could work. Could this vaccine have worked? The doctor couldn't have done anything else. The doctor could have done more, and the vaccine could be available from December. So now we're going to have a little look at the options below to see what do we mean by could in each of these things. Okay, so let's start off with one, a possible future. Two, an impossible past. Three, a possible past. Four, a question of a possible past. So you've got 5 sentences, but you've only got 4 answers, options. This vaccine could work. Could this vaccine have worked? The doctor couldn't have done anything else. The doctor could have done more, and the vaccine could be available from December. You've got option 1, a possible future. 2, an impossible past. 3, a possible past. And 4, a question of a possible past. The structures around this, what you'll know, what you can see is if we're going to talk about could in the future, and if we're going to use could to talk about the past. We'll have a little look at that after you guys have given me your answers. So Alida has been the first here to say A is 1, B goes with 4, C goes with 2, D goes with 3, and E goes with 1. Roberto says A goes with 1, like Alida, B goes with 4, C goes with 2, D goes with 3, and E goes with 1. So Roberto and Alida have the same answers. Okay, let's see if you guys think Alida and Roberto are both correct on this. just write underneath that you agree. If you have a different answer, please tell me which ones you think you disagree with and what you think the answer is. We will look at the structure in a moment as well, because it's important to look at the grammatical structure of trying to put this together. But I'll give you guys just a little bit more time, if in case anyone else would like to join, and then I will tell you what the answers are. So Leondina has said one goes with A, E goes with 2, C goes with 3, C goes with 3, D goes with 4. Okay, so Leondina has slightly different answers to Roberto and Alida. So let's see what the answers are, and we shall see. So A, the vaccine could work. This is definitely one. This is a possible future. If we look at B, could this vaccine have worked? This is going to be 4 because this is a question of a possible past. Could this vaccine have worked? Oh, I see. Leondina says no, A and E with 1. Okay, so Leondina has slightly changed her answers there. So B, guys, this goes with 4 because it is a question of a possible past. C, the doctor couldn't have done anything else. C goes with 2 because this is, we're saying here that this is an impossible past. Nothing else was possible. That is what we're saying with that one. D, the doctor could have done more. D here is going to be a possible past. So D goes with 3 because it was there was a possibility. And 4, sorry, and E, the vaccine could be available from December. E is like A, it's number 1. Okay, so those are the answers over here. So now let's see if you guys can link the correct format to this. Okay, so when we want to talk about which one is for a possible future? So 1, possible future. Or let's say to talk about the future. To talk about the future. To talk about the past. Okay, the question is which structure goes with which? You've got could plus have plus past participle, okay, or effectively your present perfect construction, shall we say. So this is going to be A. B, you've got could plus verb, or your infinitive, effectively. So yeah, that's correct, guys. So you've got A goes with 2 and B goes with 1. Yeah. So A goes with 2, B goes with 1. Good. Excellent. Well done, guys. So I'm now going to ask a question before we go on to the next round. Okay. I just want to see I'm going to ask 2 questions and you guys can give me your answers. Okay. So my first question is, question 1, do you think we could see a COVID vaccine before next March? Okay, that's my first question. Let me know what you think about that. And 2, could COVID Could we have avoided um, international, or could we have avoided uh, this pandemic? Let's go for these two questions. Let me know what your answers are. One question is talking about a possible future. The other question is talking about a possible past. Let's see what you guys respond, and then we'll move on to would. So the first question is, do you think we could see a COVID vaccine before next March? This should now really be before March, to be honest. And two, could we have avoided this pandemic? Of course, a pandemic is when you've got a virus like this. Evelina says, I hope for the vaccine in the next March. Um, okay, Evelina, well done. Good attempt there. What I would say is try and write that again, uh, trying to use the word could. Okay. You can make this quite simple as well. So have a go. Alida says, yes, I think the vaccine could be available by March, but only for the risk population. There I would say, but only for, um, I would say this, just to make that even better. Okay, Alida, we could say for the pop, mem, only for the population under risk, for the members of, only for the, only for those most at risk. I think you don't need the word population there. You could just end with, but for only for those most at risk. I think you could shorten that sentence, but it's a good idea what you're going for there. Leondina says, in my opinion, it is likely we could see a COVID vaccine before March. Well done, Leondina. I really like that sentence, and I like that you've used likely and could in the same sentence. That's a good one. Roberto says, yes, I think we could see it. Great. Leader says, okay, yes, we're trying to work this one out. And I would encourage you just go with those most at risk. If you wanted that population, you could say within a population, for example, or the population. You could go with that. Roberto says for number two, no, I don't think so. I think this pandemic couldn't have been avoided. Nicely done there. Good sentence, Roberto. Alida says, I don't believe we could have avoided this pandemic. Excellent sentence, Alida. Well done. Excellent. Okay, guys, we're off to a really good start. If you want to add more, if you want to come in later with your answers to talk about this, feel free to do so. For those of you who are not sure how to answer this question, please look at some of the examples that the other students have put in the live chat section. There are some very good examples. There are some simple examples that are good, and there are some that are more complicated. For example, a good simple answer is if we say, for instance, yes, I think we could see it. That's a good simple answer to answer question one. If you want to make it a little bit more complicated, you could try and do what Leondina did with likely. And to answer about the past one, if you look at like a leader's comment, for example, or Roberto's, they use the construction quite well. So if you want to have a look at some examples, there are some already really good examples in the live chats by some of the students. So well done there to everyone. So let's now move on to the next thing, which is would. Okay. So as like we'll do the same thing as we did last time. So let's look at the first sentence. A. B. C. D. Am I missing out anything there? No, I think that covers it. I think these four cover it. Okay, let's see. We got one. Um, a probable future. A positive. Not necessarily positive meaning, but we're using it in the positive sense. Okay, 2. A something that is not probable. 3. Wait a minute. I forgot one. I knew I had forgotten one. I need to put E in. That's what I forgot. No, I had put it in. Sorry. I forgot. I thought I had missed something there. So I'll start again. So 1. Probable future. 2. Not a probable future outcome. 3. Probable past. Probable alternative past, sorry. 4. Not a probable alternative past. Okay, so you've got A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got a probable future, not a probable future, a probable alternative past, and not a probable alternative past. So a leader's been quick here to say A is 3, B is 4, C is 1, and D is 2. Roberto says A is 3, B is 4, C is 1, and D is 2. So Roberto and Alida have the same answers. Evelina has been quick here to say A is 3. Let's see what the others say as well. Irina F says A is 3, B is 4, C is 1, and D is 2. So you are all agreeing at the moment. So let's see if you guys are right. A, we've got he would have saved him. And you are saying, oh, Evelina has come added to this by saying B is 4, C is 2, D is 2. Okay, I see that you've put 2 twice. So one of them is probably going to be 1. So, A, we've got he would have saved him. A probable alternative past. Yes, this is 3. Leondine has come in with her answers, and they're the same as the others. So, yes, guys, A is 3. This is a probable alternative past. We will have a look at what we mean by probable in just a moment. B. You guys have said B is 4. So B is He wouldn't have been able to do anything. For not a probable alternative past. Yes, this is correct. Then we've got C, where we put, we would see a huge rise in cases. You guys have said C is 1, which is a probable future, which is correct. And of course, that means D is 2, which is not a probable future. So what do we mean by probable? Probable is to do with a level of certainty. Okay, it's a level of certainty, which is always a matter of 70% or more. Okay, it's no less than 70% certain, and that can increase, and it's going to increase the stronger the language you use, the more emphasis you put, the more the more confident you are. But probable starts at about 70 and it goes up. And when you use would, then you're saying that you believe with a lot of confidence that this is the case, this or might not be the case. The important thing here is, though, you're always talking about something hypothetical. So it's not the reality in the present. It's either a future that is yet to be present, or you're talking about an alternative past where you cannot change, and you can't change the past. Let's just check the grammar. Okay, so don't forget, guys, when you use would, whether you're talking about future or past, you're always talking about something hypothetical. Okay, it's not a reality in the present. It's a hypothetical future, hypothetical past. That's why it's such a good one to know. So let's look at the grammar. So A, we've got to talk about a hypothetical future, and B, to talk about a hypothetical past. Okay, which one does it go with? We've got one where we'll go with and we've got two. By the way, guys, I want to make this absolutely clear. Whenever you use a modal verb, you have to go from your modal verb to a verb. You can never put a preposition. So don't put to. Never put to. You can go with would see, would have seen. You can never say would to see. Impossible. So never ever put a preposition between a modal verb and the rest of your sentence. It doesn't matter if you're talking about using would, could, might, will, whatever modal verb you use. Don't put a preposition. Don't put the preposition to, or just don't use a preposition at all. You go from your modal verb to a verb, or modal verb to have, or has, maybe. No, have actually. So yeah, yeah, because you say she would have. So yeah, you can only either go with would and well, your modal verb goes with either the infinitive or it goes with have. That's it. Those are the only two options, really. So Leondina says 1A. Everyone is saying B2. Okay, good. So you've all got the correct answer. A goes with 1 and B goes with 2. Okay, guys. So yeah, when you use a modal verb, guys, it doesn't matter what modal verb it is. You can either use modal verb plus infinitive, e.g. see, run, okay, or modal verb plus have plus past participle. Okay. So if you're using words, okay, and when I use this, okay, I'm talking about modal verbs such as would, could, and should. Actually, I'll include some more. Should, may, and okay. So you can make a note of that because that will help you, the rest. Can and will you can only use in the in the present form, but when you're jumping between future and past, these are the ones you need to be careful of: would, could, should, and might. You've got to follow this structure, and it doesn't matter. Okay, if you're using these modal verbs, you've got to follow this structure. So look at that structure, and it will help. Okay, I'm now going to ask you some questions, and let's see what you think, what the answers are. Question number 1. Let's go with okay. I'm trying to think of a question for a moment, actually. But all my questions are just all my questions at the moment are all to do with COVID. I'll stick with COVID because it's just a little bit easier. So that's question 1. Would things have been better if all possible travel had stopped? And 2, so 1, would things have been better if all possible travel had stopped? And 2, so that's talking about the past. And 2, now talking about a possible future. Well, a probable outcome in a possible future, which is, would things be better if things went back to normal, even if we don't have a vaccine? Even if we didn't, actually, I'm just changed that. That should be even if we didn't have a vaccine. That would probably be better. I'm just going to change that. It should be didn't. I'm not going to go into the grammar of this type of question at the moment because it is using a different form of conditionals. I'll just see if you guys can. We might work on the our ability to use. We'll work on the basic level actually of how to use these two in question forms, basic question forms. So Roberto says one, no. I think that if all possible travel had stopped, economy would even have been worse. Okay, good attempt. The economy would have been even worse. You were really close, Roberto. You had the right words, just not quite the right order. And when you use the word economy, you need the article the. Okay, so you had the right words. When you use even, by the way, okay, you're going to use this. Okay, modal verb, and you have a modal verb, have plus adverb plus past participle. That's the way it works. Whenever you use the structure of have and the past participle, we put the adverb in the middle. That's how you get it. That's how you create the correct structure, should I say. So, yeah. Definitely harder. I mean, look, would is hard to it's hard to speak in would using the would, especially in the past. The future may be a little bit easier. From what level? From pre-intermediate, from pre-intermediate, you can start. That's when you can start to use would to talk about the future, not necessarily the past. You only really begin to develop the language skill to use would to talk about the past once you're in this sort of intermediate, upper intermediate level. It can be difficult. Um, so I'll tell you what. In terms of the structure, I'll just tell you at the end what the structure is for some of these things. Alida says, number one, if all possible travel had stopped, it would have been better for the COVID, but worst for the economy. So close, Alida, really close. Better for COVID. You don't need the article with COVID. You don't need to say the COVID. You could just say for COVID. Instead of worst, worse. Okay, but worse for the economy. So really close, Alida. So good stuff there. Really, really close, actually. The Indian says with a limited possibility of traveling, we wouldn't have had a second wave of cases. Really good sentence, Leondina. Well done there. I think there's that's a really good sentence. It's a difficult sentence, but it's a good sentence. So well done there. If you want to ask a question with would, this is the structure, by the way. Okay, question structure. I'm not going to go into the past, but I'll tell you how to use it to talk about the future. Would you think? Okay, you could go with this. Do you think it would be better? Okay, so that's how you can use it with a positive. You could say, wouldn't it be better? As well, wouldn't it be better? That would be, again, a positive. Wouldn't it be better? Uh, that's how you can do that. Those are some examples of how to use it. Um, if you want to go with the negative, you could say, um, don't you think it wouldn't be better? Don't you think? Then you would have to go with this. Negative. do you think things would be worse? So one of the most important things to remember here, okay, you're using comparatives a lot of the time. So the structure in this sense is you're going to use an adjective, but whenever you use the question form, go with a do question. Okay, that's always safe. Plus would, plus be, plus adjective. Okay, or your effectively your comparative, such as better or worse. Okay, so that's the structure there. Feel free to try and ask me a question. Try and ask me a question. You've got some options there, but whenever you use would to talk about the future, would be adjective. Would be adjective. And this is the same with could. This is the same with might as well, to be honest. So this works with works with would and could. Okay, so this will work with would and could. Feel free to ask me that. You've got a few more options with could because it's easier to start a question with could as well. But that's how you can use it. So feel free, try and ask me a question. Don't forget, if you're going to ask me a question with would, you need would be adjective or would be comparative. Do you think it would be better? Do you think it would be worse? Do you and if you want to go, there's I think I put one option in there saying yes, I put one saying wouldn't it be better as well? Again, you've got this be. You always need be effectively, so don't forget that. I'll give you an opportunity to answer, and then um, we'll bring the then that will be it for today. I'll also I'm just going whilst I'll wait for some of you to try and come up with your own questions, just to remind all of you, tomorrow is Wednesday. So tomorrow we're going to look at directions and places, and we're going to look at the modal verbs should and ought to. Should and ought to tomorrow, directions and places. So that's what we can expect tomorrow. Alida says, do you think it would be worse without lockdown and social distancing? Oh, so close, Alida. Just social distancing. That's all. We just need to use the distancing bit. Good question, Alida. This is a really good question. Do you think it would be worse without lockdown and social distancing? I think in terms of the number of cases and deaths, yes. I think from that perspective, it would be worse. Would it be worse from a social perspective in terms of social enjoyment? I don't think so. In the short term, I think the long term social problems interacting with people could potentially be worse, because if you don't try to stop the spread of the virus, then more people are going to die, and then or more people are going to get seriously sick, and that would cause a lot of personal social personal worry, anxiety. So look, I don't know enough, so I'm going to say, to answer a leader's question, do you think it would be worse without lockdown and social distancing? I'm going to go with yes. I think it would be worse. Um, so that's my answer. I think if you look at certain countries that didn't go for it, didn't go for social distancing, didn't go for lockdown, you can see how bad the situation is there. So I think that gives us an idea of how bad things could be. So yeah. Okay, guys, well done. I think you've all done a great job here. So please make sure you like the lesson, share as well, share the video, share the channel, subscribe if you are new, and join me tomorrow, same time, 3 o'clock, for I've already forgotten. What am I doing tomorrow? Something to do with directions, isn't it? Join me tomorrow. Yes, join me tomorrow at same time, 3 o'clock, for directions and places, and we're going to look at the modal verbs should and ought to. Arena F says, thanks. Have a sunny day tomorrow. Well, I hope so. Alida says, can you say we are under lockdown? Oh, you're close. You would say we have been under lockdown since March. We have been. If you use we have been, Alida, then that's correct. We have been under lockdown since March. We have been actually. Oh, I see what you're saying because you're highlighting the under, the preposition. We've been under lockdown. We've been in lockdown. You can definitely say we've been in lockdown. We've been under lockdown. Actually, you know what, Alida? Now I'm thinking about it. Go within. We have been in lockdown since March. Go within. There are certain opportunities when you can say under lockdown. I'll double check on the under one. But definitely in. Without question in. I might need to check about the under one. The meaning is clear. I've got a feeling this might be one of those ones where I'm going to have to look into that answer because I've got a feeling this could be an element between US and UK English. I'll have to have a look into that one, Alida. So pretty good question, but definitely in lockdown. Actually, I want to find out now. um, no, to go within, Alida. Go with Lynn. Roberto says thank you. You're welcome. Leondina, thank you as well. Evelina, thank you very much. Have a good evening and see you tomorrow. Alida, you're welcome. See you soon as well. Take care, everybody, and see you tomorrow. Bye for now. Take care.